1950s. Jimmy Stewart found salvation in unlikely place. Western frontier, dusty towns, moral complexity, characters who struggled, who fought, who survived, not heroes, not villains, men, complicated men, damaged men, real men, like Jimmy, like veterans, like survivors. Westerns let him explore darkness, let him channel pain, let him be real. In ways romantic comedies never could, in ways Hollywood never expected, but Westerns alone were not enough. Nightmares continued, ghosts remained, pain persisted, until Gloria, until marriage, until love that accepted truth, accepted damage, accepted man who would never fully heal. This is episode 5, the redemption, the love, the balance, how Jimmy Stewart survived peace after surviving war. 1950. Jimmy made decision, would focus on Westerns. Genre allowed moral complexity, allowed darkness, allowed characters who killed, who struggled, who were not purely good, not purely innocent, were survivors, were warriors, were men shaped by violence. That authenticity, that reality, that truth was what Jimmy needed, what he could play, what felt honest. After war, after combat, after death, could not play naive anymore, could not play innocent, could not pretend darkness did not exist. Westerns let him acknowledge it, let him explore it, let him be real. Winchester 73, first major Western. Jimmy played Lynn McAdam, man-hunting brother who killed their father. Obsessed, driven, capable of violence, not charming everyman, not Mr. Smith. Different, darker, harder. Critics noticed change, audiences noticed edge. This was new Jimmy Stewart, post-war Jimmy Stewart, real Jimmy Stewart, who understood violence, who carried darkness, who was not pretending. Performance was intense, focused, real, made film successful, made genre viable, made Jimmy Western star unexpected, unprecedented, perfect. More Westerns came. Bend of the River, The Naked Spur, The Far Country, The Man from Laramie. Each one explored darkness. Each one showed complexity. Each one revealed truth. Jimmy played men who had seen too much, done too much, carried too much, men who were damaged, who were survivors, who were doing best they could with scars, with guilt, with ghosts. That was Jimmy. That was veterans. That was truth. Western genre gave him permission, gave him vehicle, gave him way to be honest about what violence did, what survival cost, what living with death meant. Could not do that in romantic comedies, could not explore that in light dramas. Westerns allowed it, required it, valued it. Directors appreciated Jimmy's depth. Anthony Mann especially understood what war gave Jimmy, what darkness enabled, what truth demanded. Mann and Jimmy collaborated repeatedly, made 5 Westerns together, each one darker than last, each one more complex, each one more real. Partnership was creative, was productive, was therapeutic. Let Jimmy explore demons, let him channel pain, let him transform trauma into art. That transformation, that channeling, that creation was how Jimmy survived, was how he processed, was how he lived with what he carried. Westerns saved him, gave him purpose, gave him outlet, gave him way to be himself. Damaged, real, honest, in ways Hollywood usually forbade, but working constantly, playing darkness repeatedly, living in trauma professionally, was exhausting, was depleting, was not enough. Jimmy needed something more, something personal, something real. 1949. Jimmy met Gloria McClain, divorced, 2 sons from previous marriage, beautiful, intelligent, strong, not actress, not Hollywood, not interested in fame, normal woman, real woman who saw past celebrity, past war hero, past movie star, saw man, damaged man, struggling man, real man, and loved him anyway, not despite damage, including damage. Understanding damage was part of who he was, part of what made him, part of what he carried. Could not separate man from trauma, could not love him without accepting ghosts. Gloria understood that, accepted that. loved him completely. Scars included. They married August 1949. Small ceremony, private, not Hollywood spectacle, not publicity event. Real wedding, real commitment, real love. Gloria brought stability, brought normalcy, brought home. Jimmy needed that desperately, needed anchor, needed safety, needed place where he did not have to perform, did not have to be war hero, did not have to be movie star, could just be Jimmy, broken Jimmy, struggling Jimmy, real Jimmy. Gloria gave him that, gave him sanctuary, gave him peace, in ways nothing else could, in ways nothing else did. Gloria understood nightmares, did not judge them, did not fear them, did not try to fix them, just accepted them. Woke him gently when he screamed, held him when he shook, stayed when he struggled. That acceptance, that constancy, that love was everything, was what Jimmy needed, was what enabled survival. Not just survival. Living, actually living. Not just existing, not just enduring, but experiencing life with someone, with partner, with love. That was gift. That was salvation. That was grace. Gloria gave him that every day, every moment, every year, for rest of his life. She brought family too. 2 sons became his sons. Jimmy became father. Stepfather officially. Father really. Raised them, loved them, taught them. About duty, about service, about integrity, about being man, about surviving difficulty, about carrying burden, about doing what was right, even when hard, even when painful, even when costly. Those lessons, those values, those principles were what Jimmy knew, what war reinforced, what life demanded. He passed them on to sons who were not his biologically, but were his completely, in every way that mattered, in every way that counted. That fatherhood, that responsibility, that love gave Jimmy purpose beyond acting, beyond fame, beyond career, gave him reason, gave him meaning, gave him life worth living. They had twin daughters later, Judy and Kelly, Jimmy's biological children, completing family, completing circle, completing healing. As much as healing was possible, family did not erase ghosts, did not stop nightmares, did not cure trauma, but made them bearable, made survival worthwhile, made life meaningful. Despite pain, despite darkness, despite cost, family was why. Family was purpose. Family was everything. But being husband and father while carrying combat trauma, while working constantly, while maintaining military service, was balance, was struggle, was daily challenge. 1950s and 60s. Jimmy juggled multiple identities. Actor, veteran, reservist, husband, father. Each role demanded different things. Each identity required different person. Each responsibility pulled different direction. Integration was difficult, was exhausting, was necessary, could not compartmentalize completely, could not separate totally. All parts were him, all identities were real, all responsibilities mattered, had to find way, had to balance, had to survive. All of it. Simultaneously, acting demanded emotional availability, demanded accessing pain, demanded channeling darkness. Every role, every performance, every scene went to places, to memories, to trauma. That was work. That was craft. That was how Jimmy created truth, but cost was exposure, was re-traumatization, was reliving repeatedly, professionally, constantly, could not avoid it, was job, was career, was how he survived economically, how he contributed artistically, how he processed psychologically. So he did it, despite cost, despite pain, despite difficulty. Military service demanded different things, demanded strength, demanded leadership, demanded competence. No room for weakness, no space for trauma, no acceptance of struggle. Military culture valued toughness, valued performance, valued results, not feelings, not processing, not healing. Jimmy compartmentalized, was colonel, was officer, was leader, in uniform, on base, During training, set aside pain, ignored ghosts, performed role, did duty, met standard, excelled, because that was expectation. That was requirement. That was how he earned respect, earned rank, earned recognition. That compartmentalization, that suppression, that performance was exhausting, was damaging, was necessary for military career, for continued service, for identity as soldier. Family demanded presence, demanded attention, demanded love. Sons needed father, daughters needed daddy, Gloria needed husband. They needed him present, needed him engaged, needed him there, not physically only, emotionally, mentally, fully. But trauma made that difficult, made presence hard, made engagement challenging. Nightmares disrupted sleep, memories intruded randomly, triggers appeared unexpectedly, loud noise, sudden movement. Anything could bring flashback, could cause withdrawal, could create distance. Family did not understand. How could they? Had not been there, had not seen, had not experienced. That gap, that difference, that separation was barrier, was challenge, was obstacle Jimmy fought constantly to bridge, to overcome, to transcend, for family, for love, for life. Balance required compromise, required acceptance, required grace from everyone. Jimmy could not be perfect husband, could not be perfect father, could not be perfect anything. Trauma prevented it. Ghosts interfered. Damage limited. Family had to accept that, had to understand limitations, had to love imperfect man, doing imperfect best, with genuine love. Gloria did, children did, family accepted, loved anyway. That acceptance, that grace, that love made balance possible, made life livable, made survival worthwhile. But Hollywood kept demanding more, kept pushing, kept requiring performances that cost everything Jimmy had, and sometimes that cost was too high. 1958. Hitchcock called again, had new film, Vertigo. About man obsessed, man broken, man desperate, man who could not let go, who could not accept loss, who tried to recreate past, who destroyed everything trying. Role was dark, darkest yet, psychologically complex, emotionally devastating, morally questionable. Everything Jimmy feared, everything he avoided, everything that might break him completely. Hitchcock knew that, wanted that, needed that, for role, for film, for truth. Jimmy hesitated. Role felt too close, too real, too dangerous. Scotty Ferguson was obsessed with Dead Woman, could not move forward, could not accept reality, could not live in present. That was veteran. That was survivor. That was man haunted by ghosts. Jimmy lived that. Every day, every night, every moment, playing it, exploring it, performing it, might destroy him, might break him, might cost everything. But Hitchcock convinced him. Explained importance, explained necessity, explained why only Jimmy could do it. Because only Jimmy understood, really understood, deeply understood what obsession felt like, what haunting meant, what living with ghosts cost. That understanding, that experience, that truth was what role required, what film needed, what art demanded. Filming was brutal. Every scene was personal. Every moment was real. Every emotion was true. Scene where Scotty sees Madeline fall, watches her die, cannot save her. That was Jimmy watching planes fall, watching friends die, being helpless, unable to save them. Scene where Scotty tries to recreate Madeline, forces Judy to become ghost. That was Jimmy trying to resurrect past, trying to bring back innocence, trying to undo war. Impossible, destructive, tragic, but real, completely real, devastatingly real. Performance was raw, was exposed, was vulnerable. Jimmy held nothing back, gave everything, showed everything, all damage, all pain, all truth. Critics were divided. Some called it masterpiece, called Jimmy's performance greatest of career, called film profound exploration of obsession and loss. Others found it disturbing, found Jimmy's performance too intense, too uncomfortable, too real. Audiences were confused, did not know what to make of it. Film underperformed, was considered failure, would take decades to be appreciated, to be recognized as masterpiece, to be understood as truth. But making it nearly destroyed Jimmy, accessing that darkness, living in that obsession, channeling that pain for months, daily, constantly, took everything, left him empty, left him raw, left him barely functional, returned home to Gloria exhausted, depleted, nearly broken. She saw it, understood it, worried about it, made him promise. No more roles like that, no more films that cost so much, no more performances that required everything. Life was more important than art. Family was more important than career. Survival was more important than truth. Jimmy agreed, could not do that again, could not risk that, could not pay that price. Once was enough. Once nearly killed him. Twice would succeed. But trauma does not respect boundaries, does not honor promises, does not care about balance, and Jimmy's ghosts were not finished with him. 1960s, 2 decades since war, 20 years since combat, 20 years since death. But nightmares persisted. Flashbacks continued, triggers remained. War did not fade, did not diminish, did not release, was permanent, was forever, was life. Jimmy tried everything. Therapy helped some, medication helped some, work helped some, family helped most, but nothing cured, nothing erased, nothing freed him from memories, from ghosts, from truth. That what he saw, what he did, what he survived was permanent part of him, could not be removed, could not be forgotten, could not be overcome, only accepted, only managed, only survived, day by day, year by year, decade by decade. Vietnam War complicated everything. Young men dying again, young boys flying again, young soldiers suffering again, like Jimmy had, like his generation had, like everyone who served had. But America did not support these soldiers, did not honor these veterans, did not appreciate these survivors, called them baby killers, called them war criminals, called them failures. That treatment, that disrespect, that abandonment hurt Jimmy personally, made him angry, made him advocate for veterans, for soldiers, for men who served when called, who did duty when required, who suffered for country, who deserved better, deserved respect, deserved support, deserved help. Jimmy spoke out, used fame, used platform, used credibility to defend soldiers, to support veterans, to demand respect. That advocacy, that voice, that stand mattered, made difference, helped soldiers know someone understood, someone cared, someone remembered. That service, that support, that solidarity was Jimmy's continued contribution, was his ongoing duty, was his permanent commitment to soldiers, to veterans, to warriors, forever. Personally, Jimmy struggled with aging, with relevance, with purpose. Career was winding down, fewer roles offered, fewer films made, fewer opportunities available, not because talent diminished, because age advanced, because Hollywood valued youth, because industry moved on. Jimmy accepted that, gracefully, gratefully, honestly, had accomplished more than expected, had achieved more than deserved, had survived more than possible. Career had meaning, had impact, had value, was enough, more than enough. Could retire satisfied, could stop working fulfilled, could rest earned. That acceptance, that gratitude, that peace was grace, was maturity, was wisdom, earned through survival, through struggle, through life. But military service continued, never stopped, never quit, never retired voluntarily. Air Force finally forced retirement, age limits, no exceptions, even for Jimmy, even for Brigadier General, even for war hero. 68 was limit. Jimmy was there, had to stop, had to retire, had to end. That ending, that finality, that loss hurt more than acting career ending, more than Hollywood moving on, more than anything professional. Because military was identity, was core, was self. Jimmy Stewart was soldier. more than actor, more than star, more than anything else, was soldier. Ending that, stopping that, retiring from that, was losing part of self, was grieving identity, was accepting mortality. That was hard. Harder than anything, even combat, even death, even survival, because this was choosing to stop, choosing to end, choosing to accept. Could not fight, could not resist, could not continue, was over. Finally, permanently, completely. But retirement from military did not mean retirement from duty, did not mean ending service, did not mean stopping contribution. 1970s and 80s. Jimmy became elder statesman of Hollywood, of military, of America, was respected, was honored, was revered, not just for acting, not just for service, but for complete life, for integrity, for character, for being man who served in war, who succeeded in peace, who raised family, who stayed married, who remained decent, who never stopped trying, who survived everything with grace, with dignity, with honor. That complete picture, that whole life, that total legacy was what people admired, what Americans respected, what veterans honored. He received awards, many awards, Kennedy Center honors, Presidential Medal of Freedom, AFI Life Achievement Award, honorary Oscar, all recognizing complete career, complete service, complete life. Jimmy accepted them humbly, gracefully, gratefully, did not feel deserving, did not feel special, did not feel exceptional, just felt lucky. Lucky to survive, lucky to succeed, lucky to live, when so many did not. That humility, that gratitude, that grace was real, was genuine, was Jimmy always, even at peak, even celebrated, even honored, never forgot, never pretended, never lost himself in fame, in success, in recognition, stayed grounded, stayed real, stayed Jimmy, hardware store owner's son, who served, who survived, who tried his best always. Gloria was there, through everything, through decades, through struggles, through triumphs, through nightmares, through flashbacks, through good days, through bad days, through all of it, constant, faithful, loving. That partnership, that marriage, that love was foundation, was bedrock, was everything, made survival possible, made life meaningful, made everything worthwhile. Jimmy knew that, acknowledged that, appreciated that, told her, showed her, lived it every day, every year, every moment until she died. 1994. Cancer. Devastating. After 45 years, after lifetime together, after everything, she was gone. Jimmy was broken. Again, differently, but completely. He survived 3 more years without her. Barely, painfully, incompletely, lost without her, lost without anchor, lost without love. Went through motions, did appearances, fulfilled obligations. But living was over, surviving only, until July 1997, heart attack, pulmonary embolism, at home, age 89, surrounded by family, peaceful as man who carried war could be, as peaceful as survivor could achieve, as peaceful as Jimmy Stewart deserved. After everything, after war, after combat, after death, after nightmares, after decades, after lifetime, finally, peace, real peace, permanent peace, eternal peace. Legacy was complete, was not just films, was not just performances, was complete life, was man who served in combat, who earned Medal of Honor equivalent, who became Brigadier General, who made great films, who played complex characters, who brought truth to screen, who married well, who raised family, who stayed decent, who never quit, who survived war, who survived peace, who survived life with grace, with dignity, with honor. That legacy, that example, that life inspired millions, still inspires, will always inspire, because Jimmy Stewart showed what complete heroism looked like. Not just combat, not just medals, but lifetime of service, lifetime of integrity, lifetime of trying, lifetime of surviving, lifetime of being real. That was heroism. That was legacy. That was Jimmy Stewart, forever. Next episode, the final tribute. Understanding complete legacy, why he matters, why we remember, why his story endures, two kinds of courage, combat and character, both essential, both heroic, both real. Jimmy Stewart showed both, lived both, was both. That is why he was legend. That is why he was hero. That is why he matters. Not despite complexity, because of complexity. Not despite damage, because he survived it with grace, with dignity, with truth, forever. That is Jimmy Stewart, complete, real, eternal.